The annual battle for Paul Bunyan's axe, the latest chapter in college football's longest ongoing rivalry, Wisconsin and Minnesota. We'll check out some of the highlights from Saturday's game. Up in Minneapolis, we'll hear from some of the players in the locker room after the game as well. We have a sit-down with freshman receiver Eugene Hilton and our weekly chat with head coach Luke Fickell. That's all coming up on today's edition of the Badger Sports Report.
Javon Tracy, Levicky Brockington out to the right. Malachi Coleman to the left, and a play fake Lindsey under some pressure, and Christian Allegro will get a sack outside the 40-yard line, Wisconsin territory. Snap to Simmons, they get the play off. Hunter throwing, right side, Vinny Anthony the catch down the sideline 40, to the 30, to the 20, to the 10, and down near the 5-yard line. They'll mark at the 4 as Hunter Simmons goes up top, and Vinny Anthony on the receiving end. First and goal, Wisconsin. On 4th and goal, Lance Mason, the tight end, motions left. Little play fake, rolling right, Carter Smith in trouble, throwing, Aker, and unable to make the catch. Trying to tightrope that right edge of the end zone. They say incomplete.
After reviewing the play, the receiver had both toes inbounds, completed the process of the catch. Therefore, it is a touchdown.
Let's go.
There we go. Little touchdown. Wisconsin took a while, but what work by Jackson Aker.
At the end of the day, we just need to execute well as a defense, and it's tough when you're put in some tough situations, but great defenses find a way, and I'm proud of the way our defense fought and played all year.
100% believe we were the better team today. Field position and turnovers, you can't win games if you lose both of those battles, and we did today. No, I think a program's in a great position to carry momentum that we built this last month or so, and carry it to the next offseason, to the next season.
Obviously a little disappointing, but some growth and some things we can build on, and I feel like the younger guys played really well, and I feel like we learned a lot from the older guys that are leaving us, so I think we took a lot down and got a lot to work with going into next year, so I think it was extremely beneficial this year.
People don't give up in this locker room, it looked pretty bad when we were a 2-win team, and nobody had faith of us winning at all for the rest of the season, and then we pulled off ranked wins, which haven't been done since I think 22, 21 maybe, I don't know. But just like the relentless effort and the leadership this group had was just astronomical. And it's just they're giving me advice to help lead this next year. And we're gonna be a different team next year.
Set the standard, let's go.
Ricardo Holman from one end of the yard to the other. Touchdown, Wisconsin, as the Badgers are back in the fight. In stride, 15, 10, 5, touchdown, Wisconsin. And a clean path to the quarterback, Christian Allegro. He's gone, 10, 5, touchdown, Wisconsin.
The Badger Sports Report is presented by UW Health and is brought to you by Hy-Vee and by Construction Business Group, by Gruber Law Offices, and by WEA Member Benefits.
Have you heard people say women's sports are having a moment?
It's not a moment.
Moments are fleeting. They come and they go.
This isn't just a moment.
But success is nothing new at Wisconsin.
History in Wisconsin!
There's a history here.
Age championship.
So let's celebrate women's sports for what it really is.
It's not a moment.
It's not a moment.
It's a movement.
And you're invited to come along for the ride.
UW Health, proud title sponsor of Badger Women's Sports.
Clear your path to a great career today. Climb to reach your career potential with no loans and no debt, so you can earn while you learn. A Wisconsin Operating Engineer's Apprenticeship is your opportunity to work outdoors and get heavy equipment experience. Partner with your employer for serious pay, great health and pension benefits. Acquire real-world experience while building Wisconsin together. To start your career journey, visit join139.com today.
At Gruber Law Offices, we take great pride in helping those who have trusted us after a serious accident. Our team has the knowledge, resources, and experience to get you the results you deserve. Don't wait to get the help you need. Make the right call. Call Gruber Law Offices today, proud partner of Wisconsin Athletics. One call, that's all.
With the regular season wrapped up, to suggest that it's a chance for coaches to kick back is laughable, maybe insulting, because the way the calendar works in college football. If you're preparing for a bowl game, the playoffs, whatever, there's also the recruiting calendar with the early signing period coming up in a matter of days, December 3rd through the 5th. Next month, the transfer portal window, January 2 through the 16th. Other than that, head coach Luke Fickell, not much going on. But is the window, when the early signing period was adjusted a few years ago or several years ago, the world was different. Is this window, December 3, 4, 5 for the signing period, is that still good?
No, I think it is. At some point in time, it gets down to that crunch time, and it's going to be busy no matter what. Just, I think more the nature of where the game has gone to, and what the landscape has gone to with some of the changes and that have happened, coaches and things like that. That the early signing period, there's a lot of things in those last couple weeks that get crammed into it. Even, hey, you're still playing. There's some playoffs for those guys playing. I just think it's become a little bit more, in particular, the last 2 years.
I would think that one thing that has helped you guys, the last two home games here, you always have guys visiting, but these last two home games, the enthusiasm, the crowd, most importantly, the performance from your guys on the field, it doesn't hurt.
The best recruiting is how you play the game, and so there's no doubt about that. And to be quite honest, I've had more official visits in the last 2 weeks of the season, in the last two home games, than I think we've ever had. I think that's just a little bit of that. Hey, is the early signing period that much different, or is it more the landscape that has changed and continues to change that brings it a little bit more down to crunch time?
You mentioned the performance on the field. I mean, a lot of things that go into this now in the world of NIL and rev share, but when a young man, we can't get into specifics, obviously, that's still one thing that's in place when you talk about prospective players, but when they see the crowd getting into it the way they do, when they see your current guys, if it's the jump around or, more importantly, how they're playing each rep, it'd be pretty easy to get caught up in that, I would think. If you're a young man, you're making your decisions, thinking, boy, this is a pretty good thing to join.
There still are some traditional things that go into this recruiting. I know that some of the transaction of the world that we all know is a part of it. There's still a part that, hey, it's about how you play. It's about, what kind of environment you can create. And, that's what's been a little bit tougher. In the last few weeks, it's been awesome to have guys here and to recognize, what it can be when we're all doing the things that we're supposed to do and need to do. And so there's twofold. You can sell it and spin it in different ways, but you can't fake what that thing looks like when the energy's going and we're playing well and you get to the end of that third quarter and jump around comes rolling. It's something that's very memorable for all of us, but in particular for the recruits.
It would take too long for this segment. It'd probably go into next week and the week after if we got into all the specifics. I don't think any coach would really want to do that anyway. But with the more business component, you and Marcus Sudbury, the general manager, I suppose that's been ongoing, right? With roster retention, who you're going to bring in, be they potential transfers or the high school players. All of that is a big part of this now, correct?
It is. It's something that is very, very different than it was for us maybe even a year ago and for all of college football for the last few years. And it continues to be different. There is still no real market out there because there's no transparency in what you're doing. So it does make it difficult, but it also means that you got to be on the same page and you got to have confidence in the things that you are doing and what you're willing to do as a program and for your team.
Final thought, you mentioned this in your news conference on Monday leading up to the Minnesota game, the leadership of this year's team, the way these, the way the guys who are in the last lap of their career, the way they've gone out and played. Everybody wants more wins. If you win 10, you want 11. If you win 11, you want 12, so on and so forth. But the way these guys have gone about it this season give you a lot of encouragement. It's given you a lot of encouragement every day coming in here.
I did say that. I said that it's been hard for, I'm sure, people outside of the program to see some of the growth from within, right? I mean, it's hard when you don't perform well on Saturdays, but there has been this steady growth from within, whether it's some of the youth, and it's been leadership too. And I can honestly say that this has been the best leadership internally from our team that we've had since we've been here. And that's not an indictment on something before. I think it's just what a collective group of guys that have been through a lot of things have decided to do and have been willing to do. And, to me, that's what's kept us in the mix and kept us growing even when our performances weren't what we expected.
As we talk, it's removed, as you see this, we're well removed from the last home game, but with the fans coming on the field, as much as it's about business getting in the locker room, you appreciate the fact they wanted to take it in a little bit. I don't know how much you got to. You appreciate, hey, this is pretty good. Let's enjoy this.
No, I wanted them to enjoy it for as long as they needed to be honest with you. And not just the seniors, but everybody. It has been a battle, and it has been, a climb that we've talked about at the beginning and been a lot more difficult than I think we ever envisioned. And to be able to enjoy some of those things that you've worked so hard for that, you don't always get, right? I mean, you don't always get what you deserve and what you believe you deserve. And but the truth of the matter is when you do have those opportunities, you want nothing more than for those guys to really, really be able to enjoy it.
All right, we'll take a break. More to come as we continue with this week's edition of the Badger Sports Report.
We believe in education. We believe in public schools. At WEA Member Benefits, we believe in helping Wisconsin public school employees and their families achieve their financial goals by providing personal insurance, retirement and investment, and financial planning programs that are designed specifically for the education community. Proud partner of Wisconsin Athletics, WEAbenefits.com.
Your animals depend on you every day. So we build equipment you can depend on every day. Equipment that powers through mud, dust, and extreme weather. So cutting hay, feeding livestock, and managing land is easier. Loaded with intuitive, innovative features and tech, Case IH equipment isn't just built to work. It's built to work for livestock producers. Case IH, built by farmers.
A lot of exciting new faces in this Badger team. I'm not just talking the transfer portal. Yeah, there are exciting guys who got here via the portal. Also, a lot of really talented freshmen. That includes Eugene, Hilton out of Zionsville, Indiana, as we visit with the Badgers wide receiver. You get asked this a lot, I'm sure, but as fans get to know you, people certainly aware of your father, T.Y., an 11-year NFL career, really good career. I would imagine, I mean, it's his father's son, and you can talk about running routes, but about the game itself, what's some of the best pieces of advice he's given you about playing at this level and a few years later, maybe at the ultimate level?
Yeah. I think, some of the big things that I took away from just him, feeding down his knowledge is, I think, kind of looking at a DB and, learn how they're playing, learn what they like to do, learn their tendencies and things like that, and just going to play fast off of that. If some guys like to jab with one hand, two hands, and just if they're playing outside or inside leverage, just, having a predetermined factor of how to beat them, and then, from there going to play fast because you don't want to think too much. And I think that's another thing that he harped on me is, learning the playbook and all that. And so, when you're out there, you can play free and you don't worry about yourself as much, but you're able to, look around, help your teammate if he needs it, and just kind of focus on the defense and adjust off of them.
As your career starts here, have you found that those so-called little things, technique, the minute details is a difference maker? High school, maybe you were so good, but at this level, at this early stage of your career, have you realized, all those little details are pretty important?
Especially when I first got here, I think being able to just read and react off of, our own defense and learning what our DBs like to do and things like that. I think that was one of the things where I was like, okay, like it's really like everything's starting to, fall in line. Because, in high school, it's not as like, I don't know how do I say this, but it's not as competitive, I would say, in that aspect of, just getting double teamed and all that stuff. So, but yeah, here I think it's, learning and then going attack. So
yeah, everybody at this level was probably a high school start.
Yeah,
right? So it's everywhere. Has it been? As we mentioned, you're true freshman. It's just starting here, but has it been what you'd hoped here so far? Just the whole experience here, classroom, everything that involves being a college guy.
Yeah. Ultimately, I think I love being here. That's one of the reasons why I chose. I came on, multiple visits here, and I fell in love with the place. And I think even getting here and, getting to know my teammates, getting to know the coaches and everyone in between, I think that's what really made me fall in love with this place. And I'm very glad that I came here. And school-wise and everything like that, it's, I'm not going to say it's been hard, but, it's Wisconsin education. You meet a lot of new people and all that, and I'm very grateful and blessed to be in the position I'm in. So, yeah, I really enjoy being here.
Sounds like a pretty good family feel here.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's one of the main reasons I came here again, the way they treated me and my family. And ultimately, when I made the decision, everyone in my family was happy, and that's a good thing to see, not just because, my mom knows I'm safe, but, my mom trusts the people here. So
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
You're going to be seeing a lot of this guy moving forward, Eugene Hilton out of Zionsville, Indiana. We'll take a break. More to come right after this.
Have you heard people say women's sports are having a moment?
It's not a moment.
Moments are fleeting. They come and they go.
This isn't just a moment.
But success is nothing new at Wisconsin.
History in Wisconsin.
There's a history here.
Age championship.
So let's celebrate women's sports for what it really is.
It's not a moment.
It's not a moment.
It's a movement.
And you're invited to come along for the ride.
UW Health, proud title sponsor of Badger Women's Sports.
Clear your path to a great career today. Climb to reach your career potential with no loans and no debt, so you can earn while you learn. A Wisconsin Operating Engineer's Apprenticeship is your opportunity to work outdoors and get heavy equipment experience. Partner with your employer for serious pay, great health and pension benefits. Acquire real-world experience while building Wisconsin together. To start your career journey, visit join139.com today.
Ace number 20 this season for Collier, and she follows it up with another ace. Back-to-back for Mimi, and the Badgers lead by 5. Kinney lines one over at Weigelt. Slide. Just a single blocker up, tip over by Andrew, but it's grabbed by Minnesota, and then Gilk gets denied at the net. Mimi Collier right there. Back to celebrate with her teammates after the Badgers make a great defensive play up front. Brings Wisconsin to the red zone. 20-15, short serve by Egan. Got her napping there, and that is a kill, or an ace in front of Gilk. Then she follows that up with 48 assists, a quiet 48 assists, I guess, on Wednesday against Northwestern. Booth with the bomb as the Badgers run their offense to their 6'7" middle, and the former Gopher getting a kill.
John Arias here with Wisconsin women's basketball coach Robin Pingeton. Let's talk a little bit about this season. What do you like most about this year's team?
Yeah, just it's a special group. It really is. And, from day one, we've talked a lot about just the environment that we want to have in that locker room and how important the foundation is to everything that we do. And it's just a group of young ladies that has really continued to lean in. And we knew it was going to be a work in progress, and it still is. It's never stagnant. You're constantly moving that needle one direction or another. But it's a group of young ladies that really has a common goal, common vision for what we're trying to get done.
Kira Daniels and Destiny Howell are your top 2 leading scorers, but that doesn't mean that they're going to be the leader at the end of the day. This team has had 4 different leading scorers so far this season, including Lily Cron, who's led in a couple of different games. What does it say about your team's depth, and what does it mean to have so many people that can step up?
Yeah, I think it's really important to have that kind of versatility and to be able to have that kind of depth that you can tap into. You know, for us, I think as a coaching staff, it's easier if you have 7 or 8 players, maybe 9 players that, you know, have really just elevated themselves in practice, but there is a lot of parity in our practice, and probably the reason we're going so deep into our bench this year. But I think it's nice that on any given night, you know, you never know whose number it's going to be and who's going to be able to step up for you. And so as a coach, you definitely love that. It's just a little bit deeper than I think what you'd ideally like. But proud of our young ladies. You know, it's hard to get players to buy into that, and you know they're to play as long as you can for as hard as you can, and be willing to get yourself a sub and trust your teammates that they're going to go out there and do the same.
The Daytona Beach Classic up next for you guys. Then it's Big Ten play, back to the non-conference. But how can you use that trip to Florida kind of as a springboard or propel yourself forward to the conference game that starts?
Yeah, I think, you know, trips like that, it's certainly an opportunity to play some great competition, but the opportunity to just kind of grow as a team. You know, you think that, you know, when you're here, there's only so many hours in the days. There's a lot of things pulling at your time, but you actually have more control over your players' time when you travel. And so carving out some space to be able to do some team building, maybe some sightseeing that, you know, players wouldn't have had an opportunity to do if they didn't take trips like this. And so I think from a bonding standpoint, it's really, really important to spend that time together and be intentional about that. And then in addition to that, to be able to play the kind of competition that's going to continue to challenge you and, you know, just see where you need to improve at and see what you need to continue to lean into.
One last question about the team. I'm sure you've seen the post-game interviews where the entire team gathers around for that post-game interview. I love it personally. I think it's so much fun to watch. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I've seen a couple of them. You know, it's got a lot of energy, a lot of excitement behind it, and I think it's a testament to the way they celebrate each other. And, you know, I think when you can create an environment like that in the locker room, who doesn't want to be a part of something like that? So it's fun to see those bonds. You know, it's a whole new team, like we both know, a lot of new faces and a lot of new players. Different nights, different players that, you know, maybe are in the limelight, but pretty cool to see the way they celebrate each other.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
At Gruber Law Offices, we take great pride in helping those who have trusted us after a serious accident. Our team has the knowledge, resources, and experience to get you the results you deserve. Don't wait to get the help you need. Make the right call. Call Gruber Law Offices today, proud partner of Wisconsin Athletics. One call, that's all.
The Badger Sports Report is presented by UW Health and is brought to you by Hy-Vee and by Construction Business Group, by Gruber Law Offices, and by WEA Member Benefits.
Next week, we turn our attention back to Wisconsin basketball. Greg Gard's team coming back from the 14 tournament out in San Diego and getting ready for the opener of the Big Ten schedule as Northwestern will be coming to town on December 3rd. We'll talk to you next week. Thanks for watching.
We believe in education. We believe in public schools. At WEA Member Benefits, we believe in helping Wisconsin public school employees and their families achieve their financial goals by providing personal insurance, retirement and investment, and financial planning programs that are designed specifically for the education community. Proud partner of Wisconsin Athletics, WEAbenefits.com.
Every farmer wants to up their uptime, so we purposefully designed our tractors and implements to keep you in the field. Tailored for your operation, Case IH tractors are intuitive to use, easy to maintain, packed with the latest tech, and backed by dealer support you can trust. Because Case IH equipment isn't just built to work, it's built to work for you. Case IH, built by farmers.
Have you heard people say women's sports are having a moment?
It's not a moment.
Moments are fleeting. They come and they go.
This isn't just a moment.
But success is nothing new at Wisconsin.
History in Wisconsin.
There's a history here.
Age championship.
So let's celebrate women's sports for what it really is.
It's not a moment. It's not a moment.
It's a movement.
And you're invited to come along for the ride.
UW Health, proud title sponsor of Badger Women's Sports.